Well, it's time to look at something a little bit different. These guys reached out to me sometime last year, and for the most part, whenever a band reaches out to me, I usually give it a spin. I'll put it on my Facebook page. If you haven't, followed my Facebook page, I've left the stuff down below. And then I just kind of move on because I get one every other day or so, and I just don't have the time to review everything. But every once in a while, something will stick out as being special, as being a little bit different. And these guys are exactly that. It's something that I've been looking for and not even knowing that I've been looking for until I found it. So yeah, let's dive into their latest release. Fool Me Once by Fable Cry. So Fable Cry is they're a self-proclaimed theatrical rock band from Nashville, Tennessee. They draw inspirations from a lot of different sources. They say that they draw inspirations both musically and poetically from all things imaginative, mythical, and spooky. And this album was released on October 30th. I wish it was released earlier so I can spend most of October really getting into the spooky aspect of it, because I'm a big spooky boy, so I love some good spooky music. And I feel like the musical landscape has kind of lost touch with that. Like, the only things that we had in terms of spooky music from like the 90s and 2000s were like Rob Zombie or Marilyn Manson or things like that. We didn't have any kind of fun spooky tracks. And that's where we come with Fable Cry. Fable Cry put out an album back in 2011, their self-titled debut album. They put out one in 2005, which is We'll Show You Where the Monsters Are. And then we come up to this one, which is Fool Me Once. And what I'm really enjoying about these guys is a blending of that theatrical storytelling, artistic approach in a very fun, darker aspect. And if I'm being perfectly honest, the music that's found on this, it's nothing groundbreaking or extravagantly new. Like, most of the sounds that we're hearing have been heard before. I'm getting flavors of like My Chemical Romance, or there was an album put out a couple years ago that was like Dracula's Swing of Death, that feels very similar to this in a lot of different ways, in being dark, in being fun, in being spooky horror in a sense. But the thing that really I enjoy about this is the narrative flow that we have throughout this album. I mean, the album opens up with Sleep Oh Sleep, which is essentially a story time lullaby, kind of ushering a child to sleep, bringing through this story. And I like how it's kind of like a Baz Luhrmann Parting of the Red Curtain kind of an idea, where the narrator comes on, this individual called Max. Every other song or every couple of songs, he'll come out from the wings and just kind of narrate where we are in the story. So we have that with Max begins his search, Max visits a flower shop, Max pays his respects, Max loses his patience. The thing that I do want to kind of touch base with is that after Intermission, I feel like the Max character gets lost within the fold. Because after the 10th track of Intermission, the song that predecesses it within Max Loses His Patience, we don't really have another specific Max track outside of Breakfast, Lunch, and Sinner, which is Max Revelation. And we don't really get another thing from Max until we get Max Bids You Good Night. Now, we do have a couple tracks that have a little bit of that, which is like Another Zinger, Live from the Flower Shop, and This Just In. But with this narrative structure of this Max character being shoved away at the halfway point, I just feel like it loses itself until he comes back with Max Bids You Good Night. Now, that being said, I still really enjoyed the framing work that we have on here. I love his playing style. I love his 1930s reporter style of, hey, this just in, this is Max here talking to you within a high-waisted slacks and 23 skidoo. We're going to find out what's going on with the mortars going on here, see? So, I mean, I love his character and I love his banter with the audience. I do just wish that, I don't know, he had a little bit more of a stay power within the second half, especially with how well the album was structured within the first half. Now, the tracks that kind of around there that bring forth the music, they're quite fun. I really find myself enjoying it. Come Meet the Reaper, Who's Got Who. I love Intermission. Intermission might be one of my favorite points on the album, even though it is a strictly instrumental one. I also really love All Night Finds You and 6 Feet Under. Like, I love 6 Feet Under when that was, he was 6 feet tall, now he's 6 feet deep. Like, it's very playful and being very dark, and I really enjoyed that kind of playful aspect of the band, and I feel like it's something that's, as I mentioned a number of times now, it's something that I feel has been lost within the musical landscape, especially within the rock sphere. I feel like the rock sphere is so serious, and I feel like this is the Joker coming in and being like, why so serious? And then slitting your throat. I will also admit, like, not everything is perfect on this album. There are a few tracks that I feel do repeat themselves a little too much. Like, I feel like I'm Calling It, You're a Phony, All Night to Find You. I don't know. I feel like it retreads a lot of the same groundwork, and it doesn't do anything new or special. Here Comes Trouble is another one that's kind of on the fence for me in terms of being like, it's fun, it's grooving, but I don't know. And I mean, this album is a long one. It's over an hour long, and I feel like they could have probably cut maybe about 20 minutes from both halves, like the first half and the second half. I do enjoy the structure. Like, the structure is what really holds this album together and prevents it from being boring, prevents it from having me start to lose interest. If it wasn't for that really concrete structure, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed this album as much as I did, which might be why my brain starts to wander within the second half when the structure does begin to fall apart a little bit. So I feel like if they had shaved off maybe about 20 minutes worth of the music and maybe rejuvenized the Max character for the second half, we could have had something extremely special. Instead, we have something that I've really been digging and I really have been enjoying, and something that I probably will be revisiting in the fall of like next year. I feel like, as I mentioned, if they had released this right at the beginning of October, I would have really dove in deep and put this on repeat. As it is, I've just been spending this week enjoying it and reminiscing about all the spooky times that were had in October rather than really enjoying it for what it was. It's still one that I would highly recommend checking out, and it's one that I would download easily. Have it on my computer, have it as a spin. Highly recommend checking it out, as it's a fun, spooky time. And I love the story of this album. I love the kind of cat and mouse that we have for this reporter, investigator, and this nefarious evil crook that's going off and doing the spooky. So yeah, that's about it for Fool Me Once from Fable Cry. What did you guys think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Have a listen to it, because it does get the note seal of approval. And then let me know what your thoughts are by commenting down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.
I'm not saying you're faking. Only exaggerating. I'll give you this, you sound jaded, and I could be persuaded to let you help me bring an end to this guy. We'll make a big dumb ring out of his big